canvas that wraps around a tuner is what we call a skin. It's a paid advertisement. And we have a team of about 35 ad salespeople at Pandora whose job is to sell that inventory. And the question you're alluding to is a good one, which is that historically for internet radio, the way people use it is they launch the radio and then they minimize it while they do something else. And they may not go back to it until they want to turn it off. And so they don't ever look at it. So you lose this visual opportunity. And actually when we launched Pandora, we thought it was going to be a subscription business. We launched it was $3 a month. And the deal was you could listen to it for 10 hours for free, and then you had to give us your credit card. Well, we learned in a hurry that that was going no place. People would use it for 10 hours and then figure out a way to, become a new user again. Just colossal, systemic dishonesty. And so we went free, not knowing if we would be able to solve this problem. And what we learned is that Pandora listeners, on average, go back to the site about between 6 and 7 times an hour. And that's been very steady now for a while, to do something, to skip a song, thumb a song, or find out more about the artist who's playing that they've never heard before. So there are these reasons on Pandora to go back that endure over time. And I think not the least of which is the fact that when you do thumbs, it makes your listening experience better. So there's a reason to go back to it. And that's the cornerstone of the business. If we didn't have that, Pandora would have audio advertising, or it would have it would be a subscription business. But we get a lot of inventory because people are always clicking through on the site. In the long run, we believe that for the web, you need to be a happy home for brand advertisers, which is what you're seeing here, to be successful in the long run. And I think this is a good alternative. We've actually thought of a version of Pandora, building a version that looks like a spreadsheet. So you can have it up at work and look like you're working. So you can serve you advertising. But it appears we have no need for that.
2 quick questions. One on the at work and look like you're working front. You have that digital sweatshop there. I mean, that area where the artists are listening and having a great time. But it seems like a perfect telecommuting job because you need to have the metrics to know if they were lazing about.
Yeah, so the senior analysts can do a little bit of remote stuff, and when a senior analyst, when they're on tour, they can do some of that remote analysis. But it's important for them to be in the office. They consult with each other. There's a lot of kind of informal QA that happens in the office.
Got it. And the other thing is, are you ready to do this with movies and TV? Like, this is a sci-fi reimagining featuring an Australian actor with religious overtones and political connotations.
I think that will be done. It won't be us who will do it. But I think you'll see this approach applied to a lot of different areas. We were asked if we could do it for husbands once by a woman who was inventing.
I guess eHarmony already has that music.
Exactly. And that it's all solving the same problem, which is what do you do with the unknown product, which is most of what's on the web, and that I think lends itself to that kind of approach. So.
2 things. One is I just want to make sure you do get through your whole talk without being interrupted.
This is perfectly fine.
Okay, great. Just want to make sure. The other is lyrics. How do you pay attention to lyrics? Because one observation that a lot of us have made is that finding lyrics on the web means you go to a very scammy site that may get them wrong. And I'm wondering if publishing lyrics might be part of your charter ultimately.
So the question is, what are our thoughts sort of on lyrics? What role will they play in Pandora? And we've been working on incorporating lyrics for a while. It's a tricky business because of rights and because of catalog and who has the inventory we need and so on. But it certainly makes sense. You can imagine how complimentary it would be to be able to read the lyrics while you listen. And it'll come. And we do some lyrical analysis. So we actually the musicians do analyze lyrics. It'll make its way on there eventually, for sure. Yeah.
I'm interested in the user experience, and I think sometimes when you play music by choice, you're sort of trying to fit a mood, breakup song or rainy day or so-and-so. Is there sort of a mechanism for doing that? Are you thinking about that? And also, how do you find the independent bands that have just got up on MySpace or whatever?
So the first question is about sort of user experience. How do we accommodate for moods? Our mood is your song selection, fundamentally. And the thing about moods is that my happy song may be your sad song. So like Fire and Rain, James Taylor, that's a happy song for me. It's a song about somebody who dies in a
but
plane
you like
crash.
Celine Dion.
Yeah, I like Celine Dion. So I have very little credibility. So we really base mood on song selection. And in fact, when we first built the genome, we had mood genes. But the problem is we could never analyze them consistently. And that was one of the criteria for being retained as a gene was, could we all agree on what it meant? And moods are notoriously difficult in that regard. And then your second question was?
Just how do you find the independent, you know,
Independent
a band that has their own website or MySpace or whatever?
Well, does anybody here have a CD to leave for me today? No? Well, that would have been one way. We take independent submissions. They get sent in all the time. We have boxfuls of them. And there's no prerequisite for getting in. It just has to be good quality. So you don't have to be an active band. You can be a hobbyist. We get CDs that come in that are freshly burned CDRs with the track titles written in Sharpie on them. And if it's great, we'll find a way to get that in. Listeners recommend a ton of music to us. We get about 10,000 emails a month from listeners, and a lot of them are about, I just saw this great band yesterday, they should be in the genome.
But it's a physical product, you're not scraping MySpace and things like that.
No. Yeah, I mean, MySpace has, what, 7, 8 million bands, and the vast majority of them are not ready for prime time.
Okay.
And I can say that as a musician, you know, that our goal in Pandora is not to have everything, it's to have the best stuff in each genre.
Cool.
And to have a lot of stuff you've never heard before.